is Gatwiri Kirimi. I will be leading today's morning session on digital transformation. I hope everybody was participated in yesterday's first session of the Women on Boards Network 8th Annual Conference. Just a recap of what the meeting was all about. We had speakers from PS Zainabu, Mike Eldon, among others. And our discussion yesterday was how we can expand our horizons as board members, current affairs, global trends. We had discussions on resilience, and then next steps on globalization. Now, today's conference this morning will be on digital transformation. And just to start us off, digital transformation is the process of using digital technologies to create new or modifying existing business process, culture, and customer experiences to meet changing businesses and market requirements. Basically, this morning session is all about ICT, cybersecurity, and whatever is happening today in our world, where right now we're embracing ICT to have this conference. And to kick us off, we have Mr. William Makatiani. Mr. William Makatiani is an ICT guru, and I hope you will listen to him keenly. Mr. William Makatiani is the CEO of Seriano Limited, a Pan-African cybersecurity consulting firm with presence in Kenya, Ethiopia, Ghana, Mauritius, Botswana, and Nigeria. The firm provides dynamic business forecast security, monitoring, and analytic solutions through a combination of consulting, managed services, and threat intelligence. Mr. Makatiani is currently leading a continent-wide, that is in Nigeria, Kenya, Botswana, Kenya, Uganda, and Ethiopia, with an effort to develop research-based insights on the state of cybersecurity in Africa. Before Seriano Limited, Mr. Makatiani worked with Deloitte & Touche, RSA Security, EMC Corporation, and Federal Reserve Bank in Boston. Basically, this is the guy who knows what cybersecurity is all about. He's the guy who knows about what hackers are looking out to get in banks. In addition, Mr. Makatiani has a strong passion for cybersecurity, like I've mentioned, issues with an emphasis on research-based consulting. He has over 15 years experience in the ICT industry, focused on ICT strategy, analytics, risk, and compliance. He has led numerous engagements across the world, including Kenya, United States, Israel, Ireland, Singapore, China, Egypt, and India. Basically, when you hear about cybersecurity and Israel, you know this is a really bad guy. Makatiani, over to you. We'll start us off on, from your definition, what do you think digital transformation speaks to you about? The floor is yours. You have about 20 minutes. We are 24 participants at the moment. Make it interesting, and then we'll have a question and answer session later.
Thank you very much, Gatwiri, for the introduction, and good morning to all the participants. Again, it's been a pleasure working with WOBN over the past couple of years, and it's always been interactive. Unfortunately, we don't do physical meetings as much, but I guess it is what it is, and it's part of the digital transformation journey. So again, back to your question on, in my own words, what does digital transformation mean? And when you think about digital transformation, really, you have to start looking at use of technology and automation to improve the physical aspects of your business. Assuming today, when you meet people, you go out to the field, let's say you're selling Omo. If you're selling Omo and your entire physical transaction involves you walking to the clients, talking to them, appreciating what they're doing, if you bring in certain aspects that change how you're doing this business, then you're transforming the business. We have to be careful when you're talking about transition versus transformation, where transition, literally you're moving from one stage to another stage, while transformation, you don't change the workflow, but you automate the workflow. So that is something we have to appreciate. When you think about companies like Kodak, When you think about companies that like Nokia, not only was there transformation, there was a transition to actually the business model changed completely. But when you think about transformation, you want to think about Microsoft. They've moved from the on-premise use of technology to now the cloud. So there's a big difference between transition and transformation, and we need to appreciate that. When you think about our own poster and our own telecom, you see a big difference in terms of transformation and transition, and we have to balance that. Transformation also comes with change. Of course, there's cultural, there's organizational, and there's operational change. And when the employees cannot really change and adopt to the new ways of doing things, it becomes very difficult. Now, again, transformation, it can be specific to an organization, can be specific to an industry, can be specific to an ecosystem. And therefore, you could be in an industry that is transforming. And if you're not transforming, then it becomes difficult. If you think about what Tesla is doing in the global world, literally the motor vehicle industry is changing and it's transitioning. So the entire ecosystem, the production is changing, and all these other companies have to fit in. We also look at value creation and new services for key stakeholders, and that is a piece and part of what we call transformation. If you allow me, I'll share my slide so that I just walk you through what I have for you today. A few months back, I presented to ISPAC Ladies Forum, and we had a very good discussion. So when I saw this today, I thought it might be of interest to present some of this content to you. It's quite a heavy slide, but I will talk to certain things and I'll share the slides with you. It goes really deep into you as the board member. How do you prepare yourself? But also as the organization changes, how do you enhance your value proposition in the digital age? So Gaturi, if it's okay, I'll proceed. Can you see the slide?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. So I've titled this Leveraging Technology to Enhance Your Value Proposition in the Digital Age. I will slightly talk about just high level, what is digital literacy in the modern workplace, the digital workplace skills framework, a framework developed by a lady called Elizabeth Marsh, and approaches to improving digital skills. In terms of introduction, digital literacy really is the driver for successful digital transformation. You can deploy as much technology as you want, but if your employees and the leadership are not digitally enabled, it becomes very difficult. And if you look at some of the quotations I've put here, digital literacy is the awareness, attitude, and ability of individuals to appropriately use digital tools and facilities. If you don't know how to embrace social media, if you don't know how to go log on to a system and leave your comments, it becomes very difficult for you to lead or participate in an organization that is transforming. And that's why you're now noticing a lot of organizations are now going out and adding an individual. We've seen Stanbic, we've seen Sunchat, we've seen a lot of organizations go out and look for board members who come in then to fix. But that is just part of the puzzle. We all need to make sure that as board members, we embrace technology. A digitally skilled workforce is a key ingredient in achieving operational efficiency and customer experience. Unfortunately, most organizations are focused on technology and they're not looking at the higher issues around capabilities, literacy, and all that. So what are some of the effects of digital skills deficiency that we are seeing? We are seeing performance impacts. We are seeing lost productivity. We are seeing decreased customers. A lot of organizations have these good digital plans. They go out and buy the technology, but 5 years down the line, they're still struggling to match what startups are doing. Because when startups start, everything is digitally driven. The problem with a lot of these organizations is if at all it's not clear how then you're going to reach and address the people, process, technology aspects, it becomes difficult. And that's why it becomes very important for organizations to start looking at issues of digital literacy. Now, digital transformation is more than technology. And literacy, and I mean literacy from the employees, from the board, from the leadership, becomes not only part of what you need to put in place, but a critical contributor to the success. Now, what are some of the high-level benefits of digital literacy? Number one, as you all know, there's what you call memory load. Once you start using technology and you have your phone, even right now, some of you who are here, you're looking at the virtual conference, you have your phone, maybe you're typing something. If you don't have the ability
to multitask and do all these things becomes very difficult. And trust me, we've seen departments where people have gone ahead and automated a simple payroll process, but the payroll manager who's been there for almost 10 years is struggling. And so you see errors. We also see issues around quick and convenient access to information. You want information, you're able to get it. Customers are talking to you over WhatsApp. Some are sending you emails, some are sending SMSs. There's an aspect of collaboration and sharing of knowledge. We've seen cases where now it's easier even as a board team to get your board papers a day before you leave, your comments, you discuss. By the time you're showing for the board meeting, it's very easy just to discuss issues. There's an aspect of problem solving and management of social relationship through social media. So how are we supposed to approach this digital workplace skills framework that drives our digital transformation? Now, I've prepared for you a very simple mapping of the non-digital workplace versus the digital workplace. In the non-digital workplace, literally we have physical books, we have storage, which is secured rooms, files, and folders. We have printed reports. Think about the old days when the accountant will come and they would have to fill in this ledger manually. When you think about the entire process, the flow has not changed. The workflow has not changed. In the non-digital days, we created information, we stored that information, we consumed that information. If you did not create, you received that information, you distributed that information, and you disposed that information. And that was our non-digital world. Above that, you have storeroom rules, you have key controls, you have quality reviews, and you have governance. Let's see what it looks like in the digital world. Now you have Microsoft Office. You have databases, you have financial reports, you have mobile reports. Remember, the production has not changed. The storage has not changed. The consumption has not changed. The creation of information has not changed. Neither has the storage and consumption of that information. What has changed is the automation of how we're doing these things. And that is what we call digital transformation. You transform the workflow that exists so that you are efficient. And it's important for us to embrace the simplicity of the whole process. Coming back to the issue of digital literacy, there's what you call the 7 C's of digital literacy. The first one is changing. How do you embrace change? You need to understand and adapt to changing career context. If you showed up today compared to somebody who was an executive assistant 10 years ago, and you don't know how to use WhatsApp, you will definitely not have a job. So the career contexts are changing. There's what you call curating. You need to develop, review, and edit your online presence. Without an online presence, it's become difficult for you to talk. Nowadays, by the time someone calls you, they've already done research on you, they understand who you are, they understand what you've done, and they're comfortable. You need to think about collecting information. How do you find and retrieve not only career information, but also business information? Critiquing. How do you evaluate, analyze, and provenance assess useful information? Even as a board member, you're going to meet a new candidate. How do you build that? Connecting, make contacts. If you show up and you are not able to connect to LinkedIn, somebody tells you, can I connect to your LinkedIn? And you're looking at them and like, oh, I have a business card. It becomes very strange. So you need to start building relationships, establish networks, communicating and creating. So these are the 7 C's. I'll share the slides so you can look at those and appreciate what they are and where we're coming from. The other aspect that you now need to look at is environmental awareness. Successful digital transformation includes understanding skills. There's the technical skills. We have social skills that we're bringing together. We have what you call approaches and mindsets that are needed to foster among employees. We're also seeing a large number of young employees coming into the workplace. And it's important for us to embrace. Most of them will be on Facebook. So whether you block Facebook from your network or not, they'll use their phone. And those are the things we start need to paying attention to. Give them time to appreciate that. Now, there's a very interesting framework that was developed by a lady called Elizabeth Marsh. She works for a group called Digital Work Research, and it provides a very simple, broad view of required skills as a starting point for organization and individual. With regards to digital skills intervention, again, it's not one size fits all, and therefore we need to start asking ourselves, how do we build it? So when you think about this framework and you can get the framework, it has 4 capabilities. And the 4 capabilities broken down into really understanding what we call essential skills, your ability to competently and securely use the digital workplace. Can you log on to a website without giving away your passwords? Number 2 is the ability to find, process, and apply information in the digital workplace. Number 3 is the ability to create content and connect with people in the digital workplace. And the very last one is the ability to connect and adapt to efficient and effective use of the digital workplace. Let's get deeper a little bit into the first capability. You as a new, or you as a digital transformation leader, you need to ask yourself, do you have the capability to establish basic digital skills? Can you safeguard yourself and your organizations against online risks? Can you optimize your use of the digital workplace? So if you're just doing email, can you do something more? Can you build a blog? Can you go out and start tweeting? Is it worth it? Why not? Then can you innovate? We've seen cases where people have built things like TikTok. Can you do that as an organization? Can you do that as an individual? The second capability, ability to find, process, and apply information in the digital workplace. You and I will agree, there is so much information on the internet that even we as human beings, we only access at a minimum 5% of that information on a regular basis. So the question, do you have the ability to go and search and access the required information you're looking for? Can you evaluate and retrieve this information? Considering the amount of information, can you assimilate and get the large amount of information so that you figure out what you require? And then how do you apply that information? Without those capabilities, it becomes difficult for you as an individual to be able to go out and really lead or participate in an organization that is transforming. Because transformation means we are moving forward, we are changing the workflow, we are automating. And if there's no speed and efficiency, then if it's an employee, you're slowing down the organization. If you're a board member, you're slowing down the ability to strategically move the organization. Capability number 3, ability to create content and connect with people in the digital workplace. Can you create new content? Can you post something that people will look at and it will fit into the rules of the web? Can you go to LinkedIn and type something, build something, communicate, post a photo? Number 2, can you communicate using digital tools? Number 3, can you relate by creating networks? How many people online are you able to communicate with? Then can you collaborate with virtual teams and users? What we are currently doing, you as the WOBN members, you are collaborating. How far can you take this? Then the very last capability is the ability to develop and adapt to efficient and effective use of the digital workplace. The digital workplace means it's a transformed workplace. Can you multitask? Can you attend to multiple tasks and data overload? We have so much information. How can you look at that information and say, I don't need this, I need this, and these are the decisions I'm going to make? There's an issue of flexibility. Can you flex, adopt new tools and practices? There is TikTok today, there is Instagram, there is Facebook, there is LinkedIn, there is WhatsApp, there is Signal. How do you pick the right tool for what you need? Can you learn from non-traditional methods and resources? And then can you reflect on current capabilities and areas of improvement? So these are 4 capabilities, and there are 16 sub-capabilities that you need to look at on your own. Even as an organization, look at your organization and ask yourselves, where are we as an organization when it comes to adopting this? Because the reality is, if you don't transform, unfortunately, you as an individual, you'll become redundant. You'll start seeing new board members being brought onto the board. You'll start seeing your organization losing in terms of business and some of the capabilities, and that becomes a challenge. Now, transformation also affects government. So it's not just the private sector. If you don't transform, people find other ways of addressing the challenges. So what are some of the typical approaches you're seeing individuals, organizations taking to improve their digital skills? Number 1, we are seeing formal training. We've seen formal training where organizations actually go out and implement formal training capabilities. We've seen informal learning opportunities where you go in drop-in sessions. Maybe they've been organized by WOBN, similar to what we're doing right now. We've seen them curate content for easy access online. We've seen peer learning and mentoring. And then we've seen open source platforms. So Google, Microsoft have built these online platforms where you can log in and take courses and take classes around digital skills. And those are things that you need to consider and really appreciate, so that as you start embedding yourself in the digital transformation journey, it's not a question of what has IT done. It's a question of how can I be able to embed myself in the process with the right skills, with the right knowledge, with the right capabilities. So the digital transformation is not a side journey where it's a separate work stream, and rather a parallel work stream to what you're doing, but it's part of the journey and you're able to contribute to the whole process. Gatwiri, I think I'm done on my side. Back to you for the next item.
Thank you, Makatiani, for challenging us. I mean, I'm one of those people who is not very popular on LinkedIn, and it's something I think I need to pick up. You really challenged us on obsolete technology, multitasking in technology, having technical skills, on online risks in organization. Do we need to innovate? However, Makatiani, there's the issue of artificial intelligence, all right? If we're embracing all this ICT in our workplace as leaders, as board members, now we're getting into robotics, computers doing work that we should do, and organizations embracing robots, all right? Yes. Now, as leaders, what are the pros and cons of embracing artificial intelligence? Because in the next 10 years, the ball game in technology will be totally different. Okay. What's your take on that, artificial intelligence?
So when you think about artificial intelligence, you think machine learning, you think robotics, literally it goes back to what I was talking about. So when you literally say artificial intelligence, it means we have gone out, we as human beings, represented by our science, our peers in science or our peers in technology, we've gone out and we've built some type of algorithm to say, for example, when you see A, B, C, D, then you react like this. You react a certain way or react a certain way, different ways. And what that literally means is we have looked at things several times and we know we can be able to predict what will happen. And therefore we've been able to build instructions that we can give a machine, that we can be able to allow it to make certain decisions. And it's what you call compressed intelligence or augmented intelligence. Now, we are seeing use cases of artificial intelligence in a lot of cases. We've seen cases where cars are moving. We have seen robotics, which are now able to, even in your house, they know what time you come back home. So when you call and you say, I'm coming, they're able to pick on certain things and go out and make certain decisions and maybe start switching on your stove or coming up with these things. So artificial intelligence as a concept is great. There are certain industries where it will work well, where the workflow is very clear and it's very simple then to know what will happen next. In terms of what you're calling job losses, I think it will take time before we see a lot of job losses because we are now seeing cases, just right this year alone, there are almost 2 million job vacancies across the world for data scientists and cybersecurity experts. So those are jobs that are waiting to be taken up. There's an assumption that when you implement artificial intelligence, somehow this thing will figure out how things work. What we forget is our world is changing so fast. So if you are a farmer in Kericho and things were working a certain way, maybe now there's a new pest, maybe now there's a new fertilizer that requires now a human being to be involved. So in terms of job losses and how it will impact us, as long as the workflow is changing on a regular basis, you'll still need human beings. There's another aspect of ethical issues, and we've seen this even in Facebook, where they've been using facial recognition, and apparently it has had a bias towards people with darker skin. So the ethical issue will continue being something we need to worry about in the long term as an issue. In terms of we in the African market and literally the Kenyan market looking at all these capabilities, we have a challenge. Our processes are not very well designed. Currently, as we speak, we are building an artificial intelligence module for our cybersecurity business. And we've been forced to go back and redesign the entire process, test it in a number of organizations, confirm that it's repeatable, and the people consuming the information coming out of it accept it as information that is relevant. Once you've done that, then you extend to different organizations, and then you can push the model to say, whatever you spill out, we will accept it. That is the problem. We have the same problem in insurance. We have the same problem in banking. We have the same problem in manufacturing. So there is some very basic AI that we can use, but the data quality is an issue. The curation of the processes is an issue, because once you give the tool or you give the algorithm to the tool, you want the tool to be able to give you results that if there's an error, it doesn't go past 15%. So it should be 85% accurate. So from a typical artificial intelligence, machine learning, it's still dependent on the process, and our process locally a challenge. Can you imagine getting one of these automated self-driven cars on a street in Nairobi and assuming that it will drop you home with all the borders? So our infrastructure needs to change in the context of how we're trying to approach and implement that. But in terms of places like Seattle, San Francisco, where the lights work, where the rules work, in places like certain countries, it is working well and it's moving well. In terms of data analytics and modeling, we've seen some organizations in Kenya, especially on the fintech side, they're able to look at a user and be able to come up with some level of data science to predict what you're going to do. So some of these technologies are working, some of the telcos are using, some of the airlines are using them. So the applications are there, but are limited compared to our peers in the Western world. Back to you, Katri.
Okay. Well, thank you, Makatiani. You know, if you don't know much about IT, what you've said can be a bit much, you know, and you're going to share your presentation, right?
Yes, I will share the presentation.
All right. And I feel safer when you've answered this question on artificial intelligence. I mean, and the fact that there are 2 million jobs that are still vacant. I challenge board members, probably you'd encourage your children to study ICT on scientific data and cybersecurity. There are a lot of jobs out there and ICT is the only way to go. So Makatiani, kindly hold up. Do not log off because people here have I can see a lot of questions coming in. Thank you for your presentation. It was very technical, but you kind of broke it down to our level. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining today's session. Next we'll have Marcin Joy. Marcin Joy is the founder and CEO of Bootlab, a company that provides bespoke training in data science and cybersecurity to boards, SMEs, and the techie community. Basically, she's also an ICT techie. She has a bachelor's degree in business and technology, as well as an MBA from African Nazarene University. She is trained in general data protection regulation by the University of Groningen in Netherlands, and is a certified IBM cloud professional. Probably will just expound and tell us what all this jargon is all about. And as well, she's also a graduate of data science for business leader program by Data Incubator in Chicago. This is a lady who's been to Netherlands, Chicago, learning about cybersecurity and ICT. Huh? Thank you very much for joining us today, Marcy. You know, what's your take on women in women embracing technology, women leaders, the changes? You know, we are kind of, as women, I find myself, I'm an ICT person, but I'm also IT averse. You know, I don't push myself, I don't challenge myself further, you know, when it comes to technology, because it's changing very, very fast. Probably you can start us off as leaders, women leaders on embracing technology. Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you, Gatweri. Maybe before I touch on the question about women leaders, I could maybe chip on the AI question. So one of the biggest trends that I see a lot of big organizations doing is confusing by AI powered technology and telling people that you are integrating AI. One thing that people don't understand, especially at a very high level, is that once you decide to go the AI way, it is a culture that you have to ingrain, because the data that has to be put into the system has to be accurate. And most of these technologies consume large chunks, large data sets of data. So if the data from different organizations or different units within your organization are not up to date, or are have different accuracy levels, or some processes are manual, in others are real time, you will always have discrepancy in what you're viewing at a high level. And also it's a culture. If you want to be AI driven, you have to really change the way the organization runs. So you have to think about how to address the cultural issues within an organization, because AI cannot be separated from other components of the business. It literally controls every aspect of your business. So it has to be something that as an organization, all of you are in agreement that you're going to invest that way, because it comes with a lot of changes and very heavy investments. Just buying large softwares that are marketed as AI vast does not mean that you are AI driven. AI driven is probably like a culture. You know how people say that they are vegan, that it feels like that end to end, you have to really check all your processes and literally align towards that. Because if there is one point where the bridge is broken, then whatever people are seeing on the AI component and the other component distort the accurate picture of where you want to go. And it's a commitment. You can't say you want to, you're going to achieve the benefits instant. They're not like noodles. It's a journey. You have to decide between now and 3 years. These are the steps you want to take, and these are the benefits you're going to accrue as you change towards that direction. Then the other thing is the ethical issues are very heavy on AI. I would want maybe give an example of if you have a phone and you've been in a smartphone, that is, and if you've had a smartphone and you've changed it in the last couple of years, when you see your camera, you will see, even right now on our cameras here, you will see different nuances. If someone is of a lighter complexion, they have a different view through the camera as compared to now. And if
Mercy,
you remember,
just a minute. Somebody is asking what is AI. AI is artificial intelligence. Assume a lot of the participants are not technical.
Okay.
Between you and I understand what AI is, so probably keep saying artificial intelligence is, so that they, thank you.
No problem, no problem.
You. All right.
I like explaining something using an example. If you join Facebook way before, when it was starting out, if I uploaded a picture of a group of people, it would try say that this is the face. So it will keep telling you, tag this person, tag this person. How did it know that this is Gatwiri, this is Mercy? That's artificial intelligence, where it uses facial recognition from a crowd point of view, and the crowd is data sets. So it's using all the pictures that people have uploaded on their database on Facebook to recognize that this is actually Gatwiri, this is actually Mercy, this is actually William. So in essence, that's artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is where machines use data sets or data components to be able to make decisions on your behalf. So for example, like I've seen even in agriculture, there are people who've gone way advanced, where they use drone technology and also satellite technology to even indicate weather patterns. They can tell by the way the vegetation on Earth looks like that it's gonna rain in 2 years to come, or in next week. And when you think about even pests, they can even tell when pests are gonna infest. You remember like the locust invasion? So it used, most predictions just use data. So they use, I would say, silos, like containers of many data sets, and bring them together so that they can be able to give insights out of it. So in an automated way without your input. So you don't have to be the one to say, maybe tomorrow it's gonna rain. No, it's using the data set that you have pumped into the platforms. They're able to give you insight. So it is very critical every time you think about artificial intelligence to think about the data sets, because the data set is where you will either get insights or insights that are clouded with bias, because whatever you put in is sometimes what you get out. Like the way I was talking about the ethical biases, there was so many cases, especially around facial recognition, because even some cameras, if you remember, like in the last 3-4 years, we will not, us who are dark, we would not take pictures at night. because the only thing that will be seen was teeth, you know? And now, slowly by slowly, they have remodified that in such a way that even if you are in a place where there is no light, you can still take a picture and you'll still be seen. Those are advancements of artificial intelligence. But also, when we think about ethical biases that come out, there are some that are problematic. Like in some states in the US, they said they would want some cases to be determined by machines. So for example, you know how the cases, NTSA cases, like traffic cases, where someone has hit someone or they're not life triggering or life threatening. So you find that the biggest challenge with that is that the model, since the data was already biased, where they were sentencing a lot of Black people, even in the end, the machine continued to do that at very high percentages, even when someone was not guilty. But because the machine had been fed biased information, it became very difficult to change that going forward. So biases are something that every organization needs to figure out, because I think, like, maybe, William, maybe we can remember, I think this year, early this year or last year, Microsoft was trying out a new model and they made it live. And you know, the problem is they crowdsourced the information. So what did techies do globally? They spewed a lot of things into it. And the next thing is that you would ask a question and the machine would get back to you rudely. It started even calling people names, you know, because those are the things that it was being fed. So you can imagine if your organization decides to go the AI way without really thinking about the consumption and the sources of your data sets. And the data is just like what you put in. If it's a supermarket, it is what the cashier is putting in. It is what the stockists are putting in. It is what the suppliers are sending you. It is your sales. It is literally any returns. You literally have different components of data within your ecosystem or your organization. So going back to the question that I was asked by Gatweri about women, one of the things that I love that as I progress with technology is that there's a lot of diversity. And when you have a very diverse group of people who are working in every component of technology, then it really brings out different ways of thinking. When I joined technology 11 years ago, I remember it was very difficult to even spot places, even places where women were. You would spot maybe one, maybe in 100. Right now, there are many. And you can see it has really helped even open up the opportunities that are there. It's also, when you think about this forum about women on boards, it's helping giving visibility to the women who are doing something, a platform, and the ones who envision to getting somewhere, so that you have an accumulation of knowledge, you have experience behind you. You can be able to give insights based on your experience, and your experience tends to shape the way you think. So diversity, being on the same table, helps, because you will bring in a voice that maybe has been overlooked by bias. I remember by one of the period apps, people complained about it, only for them to realize that 99% of the engineers behind it were actually men. Men were coding behind a period app, yet they did not know anything about periods. So people complained about the nuances that were coming out. And now I've seen, like, most of them have really tried to incorporate more women, because you're the one who knows, at least you can give examples of symptoms, you know, because then they will not have wholesome content to help the women who are going through whatever they were going through as they were using the app. So now you find the different diversity in the different experiences that are brought by the different people who come to play is very important. Then the other thing is, when you have studies show that women have high productivity and efficiency in certain aspects of tech. So you'll find that where women are, especially in product development, certain components of software engineering, even testers. When you look at testers, most of the QA, quality assurance testers of most softwares are usually women because of their attention to detail. So you'll find that there are certain components within tech where they were looked down upon, but now women have made them to be a better spot. And I think globally, even when you think about leadership, there are so many other things that even including empathy. When you think about COVID and how some of the capitalistic organizations went head to head with the pandemic, it is those organizations that had women that actually took the leap forward. Even when you look at even politically, if you remember, I think it was Australia where people were talking about how they have really managed, including Germany as well, how they have really managed to navigate the pandemic in cognizant of the fact that there were women, and first of all, they were the minority, and majority were men, and they were not majority presidents are men. And most of the countries where it was men, it was very difficult for them to navigate. They were always moving around from one thing to the other, and the rates keep going up. But the ones that were managed by women, they brought a different sense of leadership. Back to you, Gatweri. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mercy. You're so techy. Some things are actually passing us, but however, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. You've just joined in. This is a reminder, Women on Boards Network 8th Annual Conference, Day 2. And our conversation this morning is on digital transformation, which is the process of using digital technology to create new or modifying existing business processes, culture, and customers' experiences to meet changing business environment and also to meet the market requirement. I can see Maureen Kiprop, welcome. Maya, Karibu. Kada Gitonga, I follow you. Karibu. Omaya Caroline. Catherine, of course, the person who put Women on Boards together. Thank you for organizing this. Thank you for mentoring some of us. Ruth Mutonyi, Priska, Karibuni Sana. I hope you've not missed out a lot. We had our first speaker was William Makatiani, who is an ICT guru, and we will share his presentation after this conversation. Now, Mercy, you're not done, eh? Don't go off. I'm still on your case. So how do we take the first right approach? Yeah, do it first the right time. Matters digital transformation, especially in boards. Okay, because now if you listened on yesterday, one of the speakers was saying that they're getting younger board members, all right, below 35, to disrupt the status quo, all right, because your typical average board member would be, with all due respect, 45 years and above, right? And they are probably not embrace technology. So boards are embracing younger people to disrupt the status quo. Right? So when it matters technology, of course, will disrupt everything. So how do we do it right the first time?
I think getting young people is nice, but at the same time, diversity is good. Diversity in age is very important because then you get to know what is happening on the ground. But at the same time, I would want every board member to understand the industry they're in. So you understand, at least with a glimpse of looking back, understanding what has worked for you, what hasn't, and then looking at where you are right now, locally, what is happening, and globally, what is happening. So for example, if you look at the fintech space, you'll realize the conversation is moving from banking to financing. So I remember like 5-6 years ago, financial literacy was enhancing capacity where nearly every person has a bank account. Right now, as long as you have a phone, then you have a bank account because people use your number as some type of wallet to give you access to financial services. So it is understanding where your industry is heading. If you are, for example, in financial industries, understanding what are the key things that are being solved as at right now. I think sometimes one of the things that we overlook is some of the smallest challenges tend to be the biggest, the smallest stone that actually hits, that creates a very big dip in the lake. Because if you look at giving loans, 4 or 5 years ago, if you ask someone in fintech if there was going to be any bubble in giving out loans, many will not have seen it. But right now, you see most of the companies that, the startups, for example, who are issuing out loans are being funded. Some of them are even getting over 1 billion Kenya shillings with every raise they make. And some of them are giving out as many loans as possible. And the checklist, if you remember, the checklist for a bank starts from here to here. It will take you a month to comply. And now all you need is a phone. They will do the back end. Understanding where you will need to go is very important. Understanding the dynamics of your industry is very important. And also understanding the internal dynamics of why you're not progressing. There is a workbook I read, I think 2 years ago, of why big companies fail. And sometimes it's because of that change. They are not willing to change. They're not willing to confine. And sometimes they have not done enough research to oversee what will be happening in the next 2 years, so that you decide what is it that you would do differently and what is it that you would maybe not hover around. If you think about it, when we started buying new phones, Nokia was it. If you did not have a Nokia phone, then really you did not have a phone. Most of the companies that started then, which is like 20 years ago, around 2000, most of the companies that started then right now have you can rarely find those phones. If it's Nokia, you'll find in a group of 100, you'll probably find a couple of people have it. But most people have phones right now that we've never even you've probably never heard of the brands before, because they understood and then they became very agile to change and decided this is what people want. So you become so agile and do that. I've seen other companies, they do is that you realize that your company is too big and it has a lot of bureaucracy in it. So you actually have another component that is registered under the mothership, but you give it control in such a way that it can become super agile in adapting and coming up with the needs of your particular industry. The book that I read had around, I think, over 100 stories of how extremely big companies went down. And most of them died between 1980 and I think 2000. Even when you think about cameras, we were so big on Kodak and the printed pictures. And right now, even if you want a bank picture or a passport picture, it's being taken by phone. There are so many things that look right now that they're going very well, but maybe in the next 5 years, they're gonna be dead, but you'll be a board member of that company. The question to ask ourselves is, for whatever reason, whatever company you're in, as a board member or as a director or as a manager, what is the trajectory of that industry? And doing a lot of research on it is very, very crucial, because you will understand what are the opportunities, what are people testing out, and how are they going about it, so that you also do not fall into the trap of doing what other people have done, but you actually just build on what other people have already done, and using your knowledge and experience and the expertise of your company, then you can be able to chart your own path. There are companies that have been able to reinvent themselves. There are companies, especially abroad, who decide now that they will not reinvent themselves. They will buy other companies that are reinventing their own industry or disrupting their own industry. But sometimes when they buy, they also overload them with bureaucracy in such a way that they die. So it is very good to also think about, if you decide to think about digital transformation, it's very crucial that you understand the scope with which you are looking at, and do not forget your bias. Because sometimes information overload can be a problem, especially if you have been in the industry for too long, that someone who is coming in with a keen eye and a fresh eye is able to disrupt that industry where you have too much information that you are unable to move. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mercy. Somebody is asking, you mentioned about the book. What was the name of the book again? Probably you can type the title of the book and the author. Right?
I'll look for it shortly. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. You see, these are the COVID times. I don't know whether that word is so overrated, but the private sector are able to embrace technology very, very fast. My challenge, or the challenge, is mainly in government, but then you find, as a member of council at Kenya School of Government, when the schools were closed, we had to embrace technology. We had to start or move all our physical courses to online teaching and training. And we've had now the opportunity as a Kenya School of Government to offer classes both online and physical, So you don't have to attend any of your courses in any of the campuses across the country. So organizations are changing right now. And I think COVID has sort of fast forwarded people who are slow in thinking when it came to embracing technology. Thank you for the insight. Mercy. Makatiani, do you have anything to add on to this conversation before I open it up to all the participants?
No, I think Mercy is on point. If you interact with a lot of organizations, so I'm a consultant, I spend my time consulting across the region. And if you interact with a lot of organizations, be it government, private sector, even non-government agencies, you're noticing organizations that are performing well. And performance can be measured by how well people are coming to you for your services, how well you're delivering. You see there is a deliberate effort by either an individual or a group of individuals who are pushing for adoption of these technologies, or these capabilities. So unless you deliberately sit out and say, we are going to do these things, it becomes very difficult. We've seen even some startups, which for sure they had good ideas, but for one reason or the other, they didn't transform fast enough. If you imagine a startup, you come into an industry, 1 year you're doing well, within 2 years, everyone has copied what you're doing and they've transformed. It now brings the question of innovation and your ability to do that. So I agree with Mercy on the approach and the need for organizations to look at this thing differently. I also agree on the issue of women. So we have a team, we have an innovation team of 7 team members. 5 of those are women. And what we find very interesting about working with women or ladies is the way they look at things is very different from a typical. A man will make all these assumptions. A lot of gentlemen will make assumptions about, for example, we're trying to predict all the features. Hopefully I'm not being too technical, but we're trying to predict all the features or all the capabilities that this system should have in the next 5 years. The gentleman will go do quick research, bring it, write down and tell you this is what we need. But the ladies will actually spend time, look even in some university academic papers, and they will defend what they're doing. So that curiosity and the ability to dig deeper really changes the dynamics of the product and what we're doing. And I think the more we embrace that diversity and approve of it as leaders, the better it is. And I don't think it hurts when you raise a question, why can't we have the right teams? And the right team doesn't mean people with experience. It means people with different ideas and different experiences. So that's the much I can add to that.
Okay. So in a nutshell, what you're saying, women are now embracing technology, all right?
Yes, women are embracing technology.
Are we still embracing it? Are we still slow? Because I find when I'm interviewing maybe people to join my organizations, you find out of 7, 2 are ladies.
So even in cybersecurity, so there's still a gap, to be honest with you, and I think it will take time. It will take time because the boy child can stay up all night, can stay out there learning up until 11 o'clock, but the girl child needs to be home early. And sometimes it takes risks. And there's of course vulnerabilities that come with you going out. So example, if we decide today we're going to do a hackathon, and that hackathon will require us to be outside till morning. It's easier for men to do that than it is for ladies for obvious reasons, yeah? And some of these things are technical. Some of it not technical in the sense difficult to understand, but you have to be there, you have to spend enough time, you have to deal with the jokes, you have to deal with the environment. So it will take a lot of sensitization to build an environment that allows the ladies to fit into this space. There's some space there, and there are jokes that happen in that space. And I don't think it will end today. I think it will take time. But we are now seeing lady-driven hackathons, where now the space allows them to make their jokes, allows them to build that environment that fits what they want to do. If they finish, they can go have their drinks and continue. So there's that vulnerability that delays a lot of things, and it has to be a deliberate, and that's what I was saying. If I deliberately decide the team will be led by 4 women, then it changes the space. Now, will every other entrepreneur do the same thing? Probably not. And also it depends on the pace and the patience you have. Because if you're talking to somebody, there's an emotional aspect. So you need to build a team and allow them to get things to work. The R&D team we're working with has taken almost 3 years to build. I was not in a rush, but I knew what we were doing. If I was in a rush to build it, then I would be very patient and do that. So it will happen. It will not happen right away, but there needs to be a deliberate push to make sure that it happens.
Okay. Thank you, William. Mercy, is there, I'm just thinking, I'm putting myself in the shoes of many ladies who are trying to embrace technology of today now. Remember, we used to be the Nokia people. Yeah, the people got Nokias, right? Is there like sort of like a book, a site, some tidbits, ICT 101, where probably we'd log into, or just keep ourselves up to speed on what will be, or areas that will be updating us on current technological changes? Because I know ICT changes every 3 months, you know?
Yeah.
The laptop you have will be obsolete in the next 3 months. So is there a site that will keep us up to date? Or not a book, a site, probably.
In my opinion and in experience, I've seen there are many sites that give you tech news, but you have to be very careful not to get information overload. And sometimes I've also seen sometimes people hype, you know, these days people pay for PR in such a way that they pump in a lot of money to look like they're doing something. So you have to be very careful about where you consume and what you consume, and also do a little bit of research. So what I do personally is that I follow specific people, maybe on LinkedIn or on Twitter. And then also I only try to cover my walls in such a way that even Instagram, I try to follow things that I find to be interesting. And if this phase is over, maybe right now, I'm so into agriculture, so I'm trying to follow as many as possible. I mean, how many articles can you read in a day? How many articles can you read in a week? You can try, there's an app called Pocket, where you can collate some of the links that you see and you want to read later, so that when you have some window of time where you can read. It even has like a plugin on your browser, so that if you see a link as you work and you don't have the time to read, you can add it, and then you can read it from your phone. So what I do is I just try to read what I can. And if I am very big on a particular project topic, I really dive in very deep. And then once that phase is over, I unfollow because I do not want to clog my timeline. Then I move to the next. But you have to be very careful about the news you take in. You know how you see social blogs and reputable newspapers, and how you will see something and say, I don't think this is true, or this is just too much to be reading right now. It's the same thing with tech. There's no platform that will give you everything. But what I usually do every year, which is now December, I curate what I want to learn next year. Then I buy books after reading a lot of reviews from Amazon to understand whether the people who I read the book first before me think that the book was actually good enough on the topic that I want to. And also it helps you broaden your mind, because topics, if you read an article, it's probably usually when I used to write an article, they
Whoa. All right, I'm not sure whether we've lost Mercy for a minute. Makatiani, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, thank you. At least I can see. All right, now I will move over to the participants. For those who are joining in, we're talking matters digital transformation this morning. It's a heavy topic.
Just a comment.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, just a comment on the question you've asked. So we've seen a lot of new writers, of course,
Yeah.
the likes of the COO at Facebook, lady writers who've now started writing about the experience in the boardroom. I don't think it's any different from what we are seeing here. It might require a little bit of aggressiveness, but we are seeing a lot of books. So I really want to pick on that. Amazon, even New York List, they have a special, some of these have special sections on women in technology experience. Even on Bloomberg, we are now seeing a lot of women in technology aspects. And there are very good books with very good experiences of how they're able to get in, dealing with techies, being a board where transformation is happening. Sorry to cut you short, but I thought there's a lot of good books, really good books that somebody can read. Even if it's a WOBN book club, it will be an interesting one. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Mercy, sorry, we lost you for a minute. Oh, that's the book, eh? The digital.
Yes, the book.
Oh, do you know the Digital Playbook is?
Yes. So I bought this book.
Can you take it so that people can?
Yeah, I'll just get the Amazon link and post it there. I got it. I saw someone post about it, I think on Instagram sometime last year, and I bought it. And I think I've read it like 4 times. It's really, really good because it really opens your mind about different aspects of your business. When you think about sales, when you think about organization, when you think about how to even fine tune, when you think, because different organizations are at different stages. And also your knowledge internally is also at a different stage. So there are certain components that you know and some that you know from afar. So I found this book to be very good. I'll just post it here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mercy. Thank you, William. So I'll move over to the participants. If you have any questions for Mercy and William, matters digital transformation in the organization, what are we supposed to embrace or know so that we are better effective board members where we sit? How do we make a difference? How do we just disrupt the status quo? This is our time to kindly ask questions. Karen, Rono, Rotaracta, I can see you. We've upgraded. Any questions for Mercy? Any comments? Something probably new you have learned, or what are you doing in your organizations when it comes to technology? As the last 2 years, what have you done to work effectively as board members or in your organization? Probably you can even share your experiences for the last couple of years. This year we are closing the year to join into 2022. Do you have any comment, any question? I think ICT is a very tough, not really tough topic. So we just soak in all the information. We're not sure whether we should ask. All right, somebody is asking, Wanjiko is very active. Wanjiko is asking, sorry, Christine, one minute, let me read something, then I'll get over to you. Wanjiko is asking, what has been an example of a company that did digital transformation badly? They failed so badly. Probably Mercy. I'm thinking of Kodak myself. When the Kodak comes to mind, it's always given as an example of an organization that really took so long to change. Do you have any other example of an organization? Mercy and also William, you can chip in. We only have about 15 minutes and we close this session. Then before that, probably Christine's hand is up. You can ask, then probably we can answer all the questions at the same time. Christine?
Actually, for me, good morning, everyone. For
Morning,
me,
Christine.
I'm daring to be on this call because I really completely believe where we've really taken long to even embrace using the phone. My children are really, really patient with me. I can ask one question like 20 times and then some of them just walk away and say, Mom, you're not getting this. So let's just be done with you, but then again, I'm still active in my own space where I run Infinity Coaching, which is a service business. And then I sit on a board where we have really struggled to embrace technology. Every time we have a meeting, everybody just runs away from the idea, we need to change this, we need to change this. So I think the idea of, I think it's William, I think I find it easier, the first name than the second one.
Yes, Makatiani, but William is okay.
William was saying that we need to form like a book club and really embrace learning together as women on board. There are different generations, definitely, on this platform. Honestly, Gatiri and Mercy, and you're of a different generation. And there are those of us who already, I was okay writing on the board. Please take the computer away from my classroom. I was fine making my list, handwriting and everything. I still do use calendar. I still use a diary. So to change my mind, you really need to be patient with us because you can't throw us out of the world. We still have a sort of intelligence that you young ladies need from us, and you need to bridge that gap for us to be able to communicate with you and let you know what we know and what we are seeing. And we sort of have more time. Like when William was talking, I tell you, he talks so fast. He talks like a computer completely. I'm trying to keep up with him, trying to write down some things. I'm saying, okay, please slow down. So technology is already on the tongue, The way you explain things like this, you're assuming, like Mercy has put up a link for a book. Mercy, you're assuming that I know how to copy that link so that I'll follow it. I don't know. You need to put it on our Facebook page or put it on our WhatsApp, then I'll get it, So you need to also remember that you're bridging a gap, not between technology only, but the age gap also is there, but we also have our own intelligence. So I think the book club issue that William just commented in passing is going to be really important. So Mercy, pass on the book. Let's see, 3 of you young girls need to be on board, 2 of us who are of another generation, and then we can learn slowly. And by the way, when we learn something, we get it completely. We get it. We have more time than you do. We don't care about Facebook and every chat, Instagram, I don't know what. Just give me one and tell me, Christine, this will work for you. I'll stick on one. Don't give me 20. Okay, I'm
Oh, Christine, you're so hilarious. Makatiani, basically you are presenting like a Kalulu. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, you were just running over there, but I understand. Is there, there's the issue of a book.
I apologize. We can do this again.
No. We've run out of time. We have about 20 minutes.
Another time.
Okay, another time. But kindly share a sort of, okay, not a book club, book clubs are different. Somewhere where we can sort of embrace technology and the changes at our pace.
Yes.
You get at our pace. Yeah, Mercy has shared, she said it depends on the industry you are in, and of course there's all this information overload. Some people are paying PR companies to push their products. You see, that's the other thing, Christine. So you're not sure whether you're getting the right information. Yeah. So technology, I also can't keep up. So what I do, I just look at what is changing in my industry only, stick to my lane. Otherwise, if I start looking about locusts and I don't know what, and latest medicine, I will get so confused. You get, so that you become a guru in your area of expertise. That's my 2 cents. However, Mercy and William, you can probably chip in briefly so that you can take up other questions. Mercy, do you have any other, or you've over?
Sorry, go ahead.
You comment on that, and also the first question, kindly.
Yeah. Maybe about digital transformation strategies that failed. I think one of the things that we all need to embrace is failure. It's okay to fail. And it's okay to fail because you need to understand what failed. And out of that process, why did you fail? Because once you understand what failed and why it failed, when you do it again, you will not do it in the same steps. There are some things that you will use by your experience to do it differently. Right now, I would say the biggest example, I think even during COVID was, I would say postage. When you think about postage mean, for example, and I'm not pointing fingers here, I'm saying like Posta Kenya, globally, all mailing companies, usually 80% is owned by the government. Even in America, during COVID, everyone was selling things online, but those establishments have been there for years on end, but they have never adapted. So what happened even in America, even now, I keep seeing they say that if you bought something, usually it will take around 5 days to get to you, even if you've paid premium, because the poster of their country has refused to adopt. Even here, if you think about it, when they tried to change and become a little bit digital, right now we have Boda, where I want this book to be sent to you, I'll just call someone and they'll do it and they'll send it to you. People even now who are selling online have these shops where they're dispatching from different vendors, or you can pick, and there's just to be a conduit of logistics. So there are many case studies, depending on your industry, if you decide to dig a little bit deeper, of those companies that were there before that refused to adapt, and as a result, either sunk or decided to change their strategy too late on. There's nothing wrong with being a second mover. There's nothing wrong with being a first mover. It is good to understand what advantage you have, the resources you have, and the site at which you want to, maybe where you see yourself as an organization based on your line of sight. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Somebody is asking, Caroline Karanja is asking, with limited resources as an SME, how can we access ICT upgrades beyond the usual manual tasks? I'm thinking about the Microsoft, probably can share that, William. Something that's affordable and can upgrade and secure. Also, you can talk about digital security and safety for individuals and SMEs,
Okay. So when you think about cloud, what cloud has really done very well is to reduce the cost of operating. To a point now, you get one finance manager with a payroll system, one HR manager with enough capabilities to be able to provide services across the entire organization. So I think we really need to look at the cloud services if you're an SME. We have local providers who are now even coming to you, and they're paying, instead of paying one-time fees that are huge, they allow you to spread your costs over the many years, over 3 years. And if at all your business is making sense or making money, there is always a software that you can buy. You don't have to go to the big organizations for software. So for SMEs, I think that would be an option. You start considering cloud. It is secure. You just need to learn how to use it, but it actually is more secure than even your own enterprise technologies.
Yeah. Christine, I know you've just switched, Christine, I was thinking about cloud. You don't have to have hard disk and flash disks and all these many other things to store your information. Christine, this comment is for you. You save a lot of your information in the cloud. So you don't have to carry hard disk and flash disks and whatever when you're going maybe to class or for meetings. I'm sure you've embraced that. I'm sure. Yes. All right. Thank you. And somebody is saying here, our organizations will become dinosaurs if we don't embrace technology. We need to determine or also make time to understand the basics about technology, and she's requesting if women on boards probably can run tech training, technology 101 for board members, for ladies, something, to give us a push. And if this session will be planned in future, I'm sure Mercy and William will be happy to join us and take us through technology 101. That is from Musimbi. Any other question, comment? You have a couple more minutes. Any reactions? Before we close the session?
Even as we wait for that, I really like this example of poster.
Poster, yes.
Yeah, you have a poster in every single town division in this country.
Yeah.
And really, they can't get their act together. Something with Telecom Kenya. Telecom Kenya had a license many years ago, and nothing against Telecom, yeah? So when you start saying that, and now KPLC, where solar is becoming big thing, you think about BlackBerry, you think about Nokia, and you ask yourself what went wrong. And you ask, there was a board member on that team, what happened? Most of them have been they've been fired. So it's really a question, which Mercy said, if you're not embedded in some level of research, and research doesn't start just with the internet, it starts with books that are simple enough for you to appreciate. Every year, say I'll read 3 or 4 books, 2 in my sector, 2 in general, what is happening where, and it really changes some of these things to help understand what I'm doing.
All right, looks like there's not much.
I think there's a hand up. Oh. Sakali, Catherine Sakali.
Okay, Catherine, kindly, Catherine.
Yeah, thank you so much for this discussion. It's been very, very useful. And William and Mercy, we can't thank you enough, because whenever we call, you come to our aid. Thank you so much. I just wanted to comment on adopting technology and transformation. I think speaking from a board perspective, it's always important that you have a digital transformation strategy. Because if you don't, you're going to jump onto any technology that you see. You see people are on TikTok, you're there, but you have no clue how relevant that is for your industry or your customers or whatever. So it has to be driven from a strategy perspective. And you've got to ask yourself the question, how relevant is this technology for us, for our customers? I like the book that Mercy has shared, and he talks about the customers. It has specified the 5 areas that you need to look at. So having that strategy, which acts as your roadmap and your framework for adopting technology, and ensuring, as much as technology changes every 3 months, ensuring that it is looking into the future far enough, so that you're not finding yourself in the space of poster, where they're waking up too late to try and catch up, because then you will not benefit from being there at the right time, at the right space, So how can you ensure that you're ahead of competition, but adopting technology that is relevant to you and your circumstances? I think for me is really, really critical. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. I like something I didn't know, but I'm going to share with my board members, having a digital transformation strategy for your organization. At least my take home, digital transformation strategy for your organization as board members. Let's, once we have this sort of strategy, you will be able to kind of now go backwards and start reading or embracing the technology that works within your organization. And that will keep you on toes, really, because if you say, I think we have not embraced, we need a digital transformation strategy. If you're the one to propose that, of course, they will ask you to go now back and just do the background and the research. Then that will keep you, when I look at the lady who asked the question earlier, now you'll be able to really get your technology up to speed.
Can I chime in?
Yes.
Maybe also what I can add is that there are CEOs who've written books about different industries. So if you're in media, The CEO of Netflix and the former CEO has written a book. If you are in e-commerce or retail, Jeff Bezos has written a book. It's important to tap into those books of those people who are far, far ahead, to understand their journey, to understand what they did, because it opens your mind to possibilities. So that even as you craft your strategy or as you implement your strategy, you have a good idea of what they did. It is one thing for me to post an Amazon link. It is another for me to post an Amazon link and understand how the recommendation system came about and how in their 20 years, they have literally invested in being a pioneer of digital transformation. It comes with a lot of weight. It comes with a lot of understanding. And if you can be able to tap into the insights of those people who are ahead of you, it opens your mind to possibilities. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And the good thing is that they're written in English, not tech. So you'll be able to understand.
All right, something easy to understand. All right, Wanyeki is very funny. She says, my 82-year-old mom set up the family WhatsApp group. So we are never too old to learn technology, right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in, for logging in. About 50 participants is not bad, including us. Of course, this is quite a heavy topic when it comes to matter ICT, digital, artificial intelligence early in the morning. But thank you for participating. We've noted your suggestions that probably women on board should have a sort of training specifically on ICT, how to keep ourselves ahead of the game, to not be overloaded and overwhelmed by TikTok and many other things, to just remain relevant with the many apps that are already being developed. Because I was in a meeting yesterday and everybody is talking about apps, this app and this app and that app, and it's so overwhelming. So, however, it's up to you to decide what to see that works for you as an individual in your organization where you work, the business that you run, and also to remain relevant in your board. See, if you look at the average age of our board members, like I said, is about 45 and above. But if you come in with a new strategy of, we need to discuss about our digital transformation strategy for this organization, we look very relevant. And when it comes to ICT, a lot of people are averse to ICT because they don't understand. So this is also your way of marketing yourself to remain relevant in that organization. I use that a lot, because in my board, I'm the youngest, and I come in also as an ICT, so I'm not expert per se, but I try and keep them abreast on the latest changes in technology, also in the public sector, whom take a bit longer to embrace technology. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you for listening in. Thank you, William, for taking time to put up the presentation. Masinjoy, thank you for sharing your experience. It makes life easy when you talk from your own experience and also from your background. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. We'll have a break and we shall be back for the next session at 10 minutes to 12. God bless you and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mercy, and thank you,
everybody.
Miriam. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Catherine.